Okay, so I'm going to do the talk about dye sublimation printing, as you see up here. Why do we want to talk about dye sublimation printing? That allows us to do things like print t-shirts and mugs and a whole load of other bits and pieces.
You've got too much time on your hands, Steve.
That's very good, Steve. Can we give him a little round of applause for that? That's really good.
So we have a book that tells us how to do dye sublimation printing and has got all sorts of bits and pieces of information.
Available on the network.
That is available on the network. It's on Ephesus and it's under the Dye Sublimation tool directory. Okay, so the basic thing we've got here is that we've got some sort of design we do using GIMP or Inkscape or something else. We then print that out on the SG1000 printer, which we'll talk about in a moment. That gives us a paper transfer, which we can then attach onto the thing we want to dye sublimate print onto. In our case, we're going to do as a mug, and then we can use the heat press, and you see the various bits of the heat press here, to then transfer that onto the final device. So you can use any piece of graphics software to do your design. You just have to make sure that it prints out A3 paper is what the dye sublimation printer uses. We need to make sure the transfer size is the appropriate size for sticking onto the thing that you want to stick it onto, the mug in our case. We want to make sure that it's mirrored, of course. Don't print it not mirrored because you'll end up with something backwards. And then you go into the print manager and print it. I'll show you that in a moment. I also have added a thing which allows us to visualize things with Blender. So I'll show you this again in a moment. If you create a bitmap, you can load up this Blender file and see, for example, what that looks like on a mug, or you can load up another Blender file and see what that would look like on a t-shirt. Okay, so the core of this is the SG1000, which is over there behind John.
John, do you want to just do the glamorous assistant?
Sorry, Jeff, not John. No.
Jeff, John,
Which was donated by Basingstoke Council.
wow.
And that prints the transfers for us. Now you can print onto something that's been sublimation coated. These are the things I found on Amazon that have sublimation coating suitable for using the dye sublimation printer.
Jigsaw puzzle.
So you can use a jigsaw puzzle, a dog tag, a wall clock, anything you want.
Like the Generation game, isn't it?
Exactly, yes. Now, can you remember what?
An
No.
Elvis album.
So then once you've printed the transfer, we then use the heat press. The heat press, we've got basically these bits to it. We've got the mug press, which is this bit here, especially for mugs. We've got stuff that works on the stand. The flat base of the stand can be used with that square plate, or there's a couple of round plates down here. Or we can use this round base on the stand, and we can use that. We think that's for printing baseball caps.
Oh, yes, it would be right, yeah.
You can obviously attach the plates, etc., etc. You plug the cables into the controller. This is the controller here. And basically that'll give us the dye sublimation printing. Okay, so that's my overview. Now I'm actually going to do it. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to a graphics tool of some sort.
So what's
I happen to be using PowerPoint. I've set this rectangle up to be the right size for printing onto a mug, I hope. And I've put a logo on here, Basingstoke logo, and SG print, all of that stuff. Okay, so Having set it up, this is how I want it to look. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that and paste it as a bitmap, rotate it by 90 degrees, by 90 degrees, and then remember to mirror it.
And of course, if you're going to do this, you would obviously maximise the paper, so you'd have to do 3 mugs or something, or
well, or you can print a. I'll show you what you can do. You can print a bit on the end,
yeah,
and then the next one you can just have a cut down bit that you print a bit on the end. So
that'll be the variable element.
Takes
exactly.
on paper sizes then.
Yeah.
Cool.
I want to save as picture, and of course, being Windows, it then immediately goes to somewhere which is I never want to do anything in.
On the C, somewhere on a random place on the C drive. Yeah.
Random. Well, no, it's normally a random place on OneDrive, something under the control of the of bloody Microsoft. But you know, we don't need to rant about Microsoft. Okay, and Dye Sub, and I got this image here. I'm going to replace that image. So I'm not going to actually print this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to going to get an infinite number of things. No, not that one. I'm going to go to this one, get my mug, my Blender mug. I'm going to go to my image editor and load up.
Is this done like a
Mug
UVW
01
type of thing on if that's the same terminology?
Yeah, yes, it's doing the UV mapping. So you see, that's the image I've just saved as a bitmap. If I go to the 3D view and I make it look like a 3D view, we can see what our mug looks like.
But this step's optional, isn't it?
This step is optional, yeah. So you can have a look and see what it looks like. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to go to this guy here and get rid of that because it had a grey line around it. I'm going to convert this line here to be white so it doesn't appear. Copy. Paste it as a bitmap. Once again, rotate it and flip it. I'm going to put it right at the end. And now, if I say File, Print, I want to select the SG1000 printer. Very important that once you've selected the printer, you then go and tell it that it's got A3 paper in it.
Yeah. Can you not save that as? Oh no.
No.
You'd probably save that as a preset, couldn't you?
Nope. It refuses to let me save it as a preset. I don't know why. It's something to do with Microsoft. I refuse to get involved. Okay. So, and I'm just printing the current slide, so that's just got that little bit there. And I say print, and we should see behind Jeff that the printer
Burst into action.
bursts into action.
Quite speedy, isn't it?
Yeah.
In a way, but over your head. Yeah.
So there we go. We've got that. The stuff is printed out,
Looks nice.
ready to get put onto a mug.
So that's special sublimation paper.
This is special sublimation paper and special sublimation ink.
And it's the same paper that you would use for a mug and a
Yeah.
t-shirt, is it?
Yeah. All dye sublimation things.
You have to put the paper in the right way up.
You have to put the paper in the right way up.
Yeah.
You will notice that. I'll show you this in a
Would
second.
it be the non-glossy side or something? Or
But actually, if you see on the back there,
oh, okay.
that's the back. Can you see that it says
Text on it.
it's got text
Give
on
away
it?
the.
So that piece of paper we can use later on. And this, meanwhile, we're gonna,
Does it say not this side dummy?
yeah.
This is Dye Sublimation.
So the booklet explains all of the options you have to use and how to set things up, etc.
Also, the heat pushes the colour onto the.
Exactly right. So we have a specially coated mug.
Now, do you need to prep them? Does it need cleaning?
Nope.
Alcohol rub?
Nothing like that. Nothing like
It
that.
doesn't want loads
But-
of fingerprints all over, presumably.
But it doesn't want lots of fingerprints on it. But what we do need to do is we do need to make sure that the thing gets attached firmly onto the mug in the right place. Okay, so I have made a mistake here. It's a little bit too long, so we will notice that when, which means I've probably not got enough sticky tape. So when we put the press on,
Yeah.
it only comes up to sort of there. So you don't want to put your pattern any closer to the handle
Yeah.
than about there.
And is there going to be, yeah, because I see what you're saying, because you've got the heat applies there. don't you?
Exactly, the pressure applies just there.
How's it going to handle some tape on the middle of the.
The tape is special heat
Oh,
tape.
good answer.
So this is this tape here,
Yeah.
not to be confused with ordinary tape.
Electrical tape
It's
as well.
electrical tape or anything like that. This is a special set of heat tape that is designed for this particular job.
The smell of burning plastic will give it, right?
Let me-
It's kind of the silky stuff. Which I like concept.
Okay, well, let's try and get that lined up properly. This just makes sure that the paper is held very close to the surface.
Could a bit of horizontal tape help as well, maybe, to.
Normally, you just need some at the ends to hold it tight. That's normally okay. Okay, so I've now taped up that mug. That is all ready to go. So, normally what you do, the proper way to do this would be to preheat the mug, to have this already hot, and to then shove the mug in and do the appropriate clamping and stuff.
So that would be like a kettle water or something, wouldn't it?
Exactly, something like that. I, however, am going to cheat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it there, and then while it heats up the thing, it's going to be heating the mug a little bit as well.
Okay.
So, when I turn this thing on, it's going to tell me that the temperature, so on the top here, we've got the temperature in degrees centigrade,
Yeah.
and the bottom here we've got the time in seconds. So that's telling me the temperature is at 40 degrees at the moment. It's currently heating the pad up. I've set it 180 seconds, 180 degrees centigrade for the works for the mugs. And in the booklet you'll see there's a table which has all the different things and what the recommended settings are
Temperature
for
versus time. And
temperature versus time for all of them.
it's a bit like the hot end, isn't it? On the printer or something.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to make sure this. Yes, tape.
So,
Heat tape. Not normal sticky tape.
Not normal sticky tape. There we go, and it's coming up to temperature. It's 120 degrees now.
what's the target?
180.
Oh, so the one below, sorry, yeah.
No, the one below is the time. By coincidence, we're doing it for 3 minutes
Oh,
at 180 degrees C.
Oh, okay.
Happens to be the settings that work for mugs.
How much do the blank mugs cost?
We've bought a set of 30 blank mugs. What we're currently saying is, if you want a mug done, you need to make a donation of £3
Yeah,
for each mug,
I completely
and that
agree,
covers the mug and the paper and stuff
yeah,
like that.
that's good.
So if anybody wants a mug done, come and talk to me. Come and talk to Kevin, the Kevin who isn't here, and we'll be able to go through the
Do you know what I
process
think would
with
be a cracking idea, folks, for
Okay.
who's interested, would be to have our own mugs with our photos on. We can go in the cupboard, we can buy some proper cleaning stuff, right, instead of some of those nasty
Anyway,
old cloths and stuff.
That's reached the temperature. So I'm now going to bring the handle round, and you see when I bring the handle round, that is now pressing. That's now.
Oops.
Yes, it was
Oh, it was too, yeah, it
Too
was
close
too
to
much
that
pressure
side.
on that side.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, that was a learning exercise.
That's all right.
make a note not
There
to.
we
I
go.
don't need a handle on my mug.
Make sure it's square is the lesson. Is it?
Make sure the mug is square. Clearly that.
So your plan is to
yes,
get everyone to have mugs with their names on it. Drink it as somebody else's, and it looks like it's somebody else's fault for not washing up their mug.
Yeah. But we need to buy some of those little white
Who is
scourers.
Chris P? There's a mug in there with the name
He's
Chris
not
P
here
in it.
tonight.
So you will notice that the temperature then drops down as it properly heats the mug
Oh,
up.
I see. I don't know how it
So the
works.
temperature has come down
Yeah,
to
that's
Is
100.
that
Yeah.
once it's clamped, the temperature then drops down?
Yeah, because it's now thermally attached to the
It's
mug,
like putting a couple of eggs in a bowl of
Exactly.
hot water.
and that's reached the bottom of the thing, and now it's heating it back up again, so it's coming back up too.
We'll get the physicist to
Okay.
tell us the facts around that.
So there's one more thing that we shouldn't do. You should make sure that the handle is far enough away from the.
Centralise it, yeah.
Get smashed off, yes.
What it needs is some little guards.
So it's
and things.
counting. It's counting down, and it'll beep when the timer is finished,
Exploding mug.
which will then provide some interesting challenge because we've got to get that mug out of there.
Got some heavy gloves.
Have we got any contact cement? We could possibly try and glue it back together. So.
That's a bit lethal, isn't it? You're sat there like this, and suddenly the handle comes off.
Okay. And the temperature is now back up to 180, and we've got another minute to go.
Can't beat a bit of bully. Boy hasn't got a clue what we're talking about now, does he?
Can't be the what?
You can't beat a bit of bully. Who said that?
Bully? No, I don't know that.
Bullseye.
They had a bull as their mascot, and you could win a cheesy.
It's a game
bull
show where you play
mascot if you
darts
won.
with what's the guy's name?
What time period was this?
It's the Middle Ages.
1860.
Jim Bowen was it?
Jim Bowen, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And he
since
used to
I
get-
was born in the 90s, it would be a bit difficult for me to
And he used to
watch,
have like,
wouldn't it?
did he have speedboats and things as prizes and things like that?
Who's that?
Or was that?
Blankety blank.
Like,
it
no,
wasn't.
Family Fortunes.
Family
I mean,
Fortunes.
I've seen a few sort of 80s children's shows
Mr. and
because my mum
Mrs.
liked them, so she's shown me them. But, you know.
Yes, and then
So there we go. It's
we get our Harry to watch all the old films and series and
Yeah,
things.
we do watch some of it.
so that's now reached the time. We can open that up again, and we need to take this mug.
Is there anything stopping you leaving it in there till it cool?
Yeah.
Well, it'll.
What you need is a pair of calipers.
So that's fairly warm,
Get the accident
so we
ready.
won't be able. You can actually feel the temperature coming off of that. I will turn this off,
There'll
so
be a big
that'll
ring
cool
on the
that down.
table.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you need to put the mug on something so you're not
Yes.
burning the table?
Yes.
Steve, do you want to talk about heat transference?
I'm not sure. I think Einstein got a Nobel Prize for explaining that.
Brownian motion, was it?
There's Brownian motion and heat
And
conduction.
heat.
There you go.
Yeah, it's really easy. The speed of sound. The sound can't go ahead of the aeroplane because the aeroplane's going faster.
Yeah.
So what happens is you end up with this bit behind, and that's a shock. It's an instantaneous jump. And if you have explosives, it's the same.
Yeah.
You can burn explosives, and the heat then will just spread out. But if you detonate them, it goes faster than the speed of sound. None of it, you can't heat the thing ahead first.
Yeah.
You instantaneously heat it up, and that's the shock.
So do you often have an explosion before you hear the sound of it?
With the
No,
Yeah,
sorry,
sonic
but
boom,
that's
yeah.
just we're talking about distance. And,
Okay.
you see the flash before.
Okay.
you hear
I'm
the-
talking about what happens around the explosive and in the explosive.
Yeah.
If it's a long way away, you'll see the
Yeah.
flash, and then
That
you'll
looks
see
nice,
the-
isn't
So
it?
now that's what the
Very. I'll sign me up for one of those mugs.
that's what the
I
result
don't want a
looks
printer
like.
on it though.
So we know how tough it is.
No, you just want your mug
It's
on
vivid,
it.
isn't it? That's beautiful.
It should
want
be
your mug on
dishwasher
the
proof.
Oh, but
They're even more
Can you use
vibrant
that
than,
piece of
than
paper
what
again?
was on the paper.
This piece of paper, in theory, you can use this piece of paper again.
Right.
I've not actually tried it,
Then we can
but
look and go, look.
I suspect that your second print isn't going to be as bright as that one.
Yeah.
But I suspect that you could probably get two reasonable prints out of one sheet of paper.
Do you have a pro forma on the system where people just put their mugs in and change the text and then get a mug?
We can create. That depends on the printer more than it does on the
Yeah.
PowerPoint. Okay, so basically that's it. Apart from the handle,
It's like a piece of Greek art.
yes. Apart from the handle,
you
that's
need-
basically the process.
Excellent. That's really good.
Thank you very much.
So you need a picture putting a good one in there
How
and a good one that's finished.
secure is the image? Is it quite robust in terms of putting it in a washing
That's it.
Yes, it was.
Oh, it was too. Yeah.